I think we're live right now. We'll see. So we'll see how many people chime in and view this video. Oh, we got 3 first. I got first. Guys. We're here to talk about the amazing, although maybe not all that surprising, Packers' first victory of the season against the Chicago Bears. I've never been live on YouTube before, so this is definitely a trial and error. We'll see how this unfolds. I don't even know how the volume is for you guys. Hopefully the volume's all right for you guys. But yeah, we're here. We're here to talk about Packers as you guys start to roll in. Defense got us the W. Absolutely. The defense got us the W. I couldn't agree anymore. It is crazy to think that we might have the offense as the possible weakest link, at least to start the season. The offense could be the weakest link for this team, and that would be monumental for us reaching some of our aspirations as far as a Super Bowl and as far as the Packers going to the next level. I mean, come on, you hold the Bears to 3 points. That is something I obviously did not predict. I thought it would be 31-17. I thought the Packers would give up some touchdowns. I thought that offense would give up some, put up a couple more points than they eventually did. But wow, here we go. The regular season has started. Were the rest of you guys? I mean, I only got 4 of you. I got a thumbs up. I only had 4 of you guys out there, but it was kind of surreal when the game kicked off. I mean, 7 months. I mean, almost 8 months that we had of since the Packers last took the field. It really felt surreal when the Packers took that field and the game was starting. I don't even think I was ready. I mean, I've been preparing. I've been mentally preparing for the Packers to take the field and to have some real NFL football that I care about for so many months. And yeah, it was pretty special. It was a great start to the season. It was an absolute great start to the season. So going live, I want you guys to just chime in. I mean, this is a community. I want this Pour Another Packers podcast, which is all I have going for me right now, is a community. I want you guys to chime in. Eventually, depending on the support, I want you guys to join me. I want to do like various webcams and have Google Hangouts and whatnot, so you guys can all join us. But I'm going to go live here for about the next 25 minutes, 30 minutes. We'll see how active this place gets to. But no, this is awesome. I mean, had the Packers not won in week 1, I would not have been. It's the only game out of the year that I would not have been disappointed had the Packers lost. Yes, it sucks that they would have lost. But you look at last year, they had that awesome victory. I was riding cloud 9 last year when they beat the Bears at home. And then the entire season, it's a long, long season. Had they not won, I would not have been disappointed whatsoever. But the fact that we came away, we're 1-0. We have 10 days, 9 days, whatever you want to call it, to prepare for the Vikings at home. This is an awesome moment. So chime in the comments. We will have a discussion here, guys. I'm drinking coffee. I'm drinking coffee tonight because I need to calm my drunken. I took some Jello shots tonight. So let's read some of these questions here. I'll take a drink break. We'll read some questions. So yes, I did think it was going to be a blowout. I don't know why I thought it was going to be a blowout. That was we joked about it tonight. The fact that it could be a potential blowout. That was my prediction, 31-17. I was rooting for the moon all day that it would be 31-17. I thought that might gain some credibility on the YouTube community if I could come through on that prediction. But the reality of the situation with this one is that all offseason we talked about this defense. Heading into Chicago, we knew about their defense. It didn't take long. It was the end of the first quarter. It was before the Packers put together that one single drive that made the entire difference for the game. We realized, I was talking with my dad, we realized that why didn't we not see this as a defensive battle the entire game? The writing was on the wall ever since the offseason, throughout training camp. We should have known this was going to be, possibly one of the best defenses in the NFLs, with the Bears and an up-and-coming defense with the Green Bay Packers. So yes, it was 10-3 was the final score. And it was it wasn't that big of a surprise, especially after halftime. It almost felt like at the end of the third quarter, it was still 7-3. If we could get some points on the board, I felt very confident at that point that we could lock out the game, that we could close out the game, that we would walk away with a victory. Obviously, a touchdown would have been just that is your dagger, sort of a moment with the Packers, but a field goal, 7-point lead. The Bears had the ball with a little bit over 5 minutes to go in the game, and I felt very confident that we would walk away with that. But yeah, our defense, without a doubt, is going to be the talking point. It's going to be all over the headlines, and on the other side of the headlines is Matt LaFleur's offense. Is that going to be, how long is it going to take to get to where it needs to be to put more points on the board and all that fun stuff? So yeah, I mean, we did good. I mean, the fact that you can hold the Bears to a 3-point total, and the fact that the Packers played the way that they did, that's a lot of fun. So let's go through some of these comments. So how do you think of the defense? I talked about the defense. Packers have a good chance of a playoff run with this new defense. Absolutely. The Packers do have a great chance of the playoff run. This is a very tricky, dangerous part to be in when you're talking about a first victory of the season. I mean, if our expectations weren't already sky high heading into week 1, you get yourself a victory right off the bat on Thursday Night Football against the Bears, and then that only just blows things further out of proportion. One thing that I loved hearing, especially from Zadarius Preston, he had his post-game interview on the sideline. I mean, it's not all about one individual on that defensive side of the ball. It's not all about one individual on that offensive side of the ball. I'm really getting a sense of a team atmosphere with this Packers team, lack of a better term. And I think that they'd realize that it's not all about one challenge. They have the Vikings to look forward to next week. But obviously, if we can have ourselves a top 10 defense and this offense can figure themselves out, then yes, I do believe we have a great shot at not only the playoffs, but a deep playoff run. And then once you hit the playoffs, you never really know what's going to transpire from that point. So did you like all the moving and shifting in the offense? So I didn't see a ton of it. I mean, there were some RPOs that did occur throughout the offense. They in an offense that is predicated by Matt LaFleur's running scheme and that running offense, they could not get it going, and it wasn't that big of a surprise. I mean, you're looking at the number 1 rush defense in the NFL, and it didn't take very long for Matt LaFleur to go, okay, we got Aaron Rodgers behind center. Let's just let him go out there and put together what he can. Now, yes, they were rusty. I think the preseason did have an effect on tonight's outcome, but I mean, even if he had played preseason snaps, maybe they have 7 more points, maybe they have 10 more points. But at the end of the day, I think that Bears defense is a lot better than we give him credit for. So, I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due. Matt Nagy, Bears offensive coach or head coach, was giving credit to the Packers, and you have to give credit to the Packers. I mean, they went out there and they put a game plan together. It wasn't the prettiest thing on the offensive side of the ball, but they definitely put some things together. So let's see here. What else do we got here? Mixed with the audibles. Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching Aaron Rodgers change up plays or make adjustments to the line of scrimmage. I think that was definitely, I mean, with all the news that came in the offseason, that was fun to see what he could do. And I think one thing that stood out to me is that Rodgers feels pressured with these audibles, right? So if he goes out there and audibles the football, he knows he has the media against him. He knows that he has a new head coach that is obviously judging every decision that he makes. So I think Rodgers took extra pressure off of these audibles that he would take at the line of scrimmage. And if things didn't go right, he was obviously down on himself. If things did go well, which didn't happen a whole lot in the offense, I mean, maybe he had a little bit more chip on his shoulder. But I think it was very interesting just to see that he's not taking that lightly. I think that he is taking that with full seriousness. He knows the responsibility that comes with changing up Matt LaFleur's plays. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. I think next week will be just some more. I mean, we got to get settled into the season and see how this game unfolds or how the team unfolds. But that week 1, everyone's a little bit rusty. A lot of pregame jitters, a lot of first quarter jitters. We couldn't get anything going down the field right away. Let's see. How about Preston Smith? Came up big right at the end of the game, right? So I think both the additions, or all 3 additions that we had in free agency. So you have to talk about Adrian Amos. What a perfect storybook scenario for that game. I'd like to say it was a storybook ending, but the Packers still couldn't get that first down to close out the game, which is something that still lingers from the Mike McCarthy offense, or that mindset, or maybe it's just an NFL offense, but it was frustrating that they couldn't close out the game with 2 minutes to go. But yes, Adrian Amos, he gets that interception. That was, man, you couldn't script it any better for him. Congratulations to him. Absolutely phenomenal. Pick in the end zone. I was waiting for it. I mean, sometimes I wish I did have a live stream so you guys could see kind of where my mindset is and where I kind of feel with some of these scenarios, but I was waiting for it. I had my playlist queued up for an interception. I had jello shots ready. I knew that an interception or a turnover was going to happen at some point on that drive, and it took a little while to get there, but kudos to Adrian Amos. Whew. Stellar job. That was a lot of fun. I mean, that was the only turnover of the game. If Kevin King had not dropped that interception, we would have had 2 turnovers, but what do you do? What do you do? The Smiths are going to be a dominant force. Agree 100%. When you look at Nick Perry, who has still not been signed by an NFL team, that says something. I mean, that was our starting outside linebacker last year. We paid him a lot of money not too long ago to be the guy on that defense, and he has not drawn any attention in the NFL, which says something. It says something of his caliber. It says something that people are a little bit worried, obviously, that he could be a player in the NFL. I think Matthew still has a little bit of fuel left in his tank. I think last year he had a great season, but prior to that, it was a little bit wishy-washy. Huge upgrade with our Smith twins, Smith brothers, Smith yin and yang, whatever you want to call them. I mean, obviously, all 3 of those guys had a huge impact in the game, and I mean, it was a difference maker. I mean, it was fun for the first time in a long time. The defense hits the field, and you felt confident. I know I felt confident. You felt confident that something was going to happen, that they were either going to stop them, slow them down, get an interception, get a turnover, whatever it was. I wasn't worried at any point throughout the game when the defense was on the field. I wasn't worried about giving up points or anything. And that's even rare when it came to less than 2 minutes. I think it was a minute, 40 or so when the Bears had that final drive. It was like, man, I felt good. I was ready to celebrate at that point, which is something rare. We're not used to that. What's up, man? With looking at Graham 25 here. What's up, man? With 10 days to prepare for Minnesota at home, do you think we can fix some of the offensive struggles? Of course. Not even going to hesitate on that one. The offense is a work in progress. I mean, this is the first chance that Rodgers gets to go on the field and show some of his abilities, show some of, I mean, he just has to get used to being in the game and the speed of the game. I mean, there's no better test to get used to the speed of the game than when you have Khalil Mack on that defensive line. I think the offense will improve. I think that, a very early prediction, and I know Minnesota has taken steps as an offensive line to improve, but I think that's going to be a problem for Minnesota. I'm quite frankly, I'm very excited for that Minnesota game next week. Of course I am, because the Bears game's over. Let's look forward to the future. But the offense will get itself together. The running game will improve. I mean, like I said before, we're playing that #1 rush defense in the NFL. I should not have expected Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams to get a whole lot of yards. Dexter Williams was, of course, inactive throughout the game. So it was really just those 2 guys that had it. And it's a tough team to run against. I don't think that will dictate or predicate what we should expect from that rush game the rest of the season. I think Matt LaFleur will still lean heavy on the rush. Of course, he will lean heavy on the rush throughout the rest of the season. And it was a fun game to watch. It was an absolutely fun game to watch. Even though we couldn't get the rush game going, the defense gave us a lot to cheer about. Let's see. Hopefully the running game looks better. It will look better. Did you realize the last sack of the game on Trubisky was both the Smiths we signed in the offseason? Perfect way to show off the offseason did for the Pack. I agree. I mean, as you guys are slowly tuning into this, I'm probably going to be repeating some of the things I thought, but I agree 100%. We improved our defense. 100% we improved our defense year over year. You look at things that won't get talked about a whole lot, but Jair Alexander had a great game. He was contesting every single pass. And when you look at the offense of the Bears, try to think of, I want you to do me a favor right now, because I'm going to take a quick coffee break. Do me a favor right now and think of a moment or a play in the game where the Bears had a huge, 20, 30 yard gain. I'll give you a second to think about that while I try to refuel myself. but you can't. Yeah, you can't think. Yes, they had some good. What was it? Montgomery, I believe, was the player that had probably a 20-yard pass out of the backfield that picked up some significant yards. There were some relatively. I mean, Allen Robertson, I think, had maybe a 20-yard pass, but there wasn't that breakdown on the defensive side of the ball that gave up a huge play, that gave up yards, that swung the momentum one way or the other. When you get Bears fans booing at home because their offense just isn't putting anything together, that's when you start to realize that we might have something perhaps special on that defensive side of the ball. The realist Cheesehead goes on to say, we had first game jitters. After this, we have tape to watch for the Vikings and then prepare ourselves for the home game. I agree. I mean, there was a lot of jitters to start the first quarter. Myself, I mean, I'm not even a player on the team, and I felt nervous. I couldn't believe it was happening. So I can only imagine what's going through the player's voice. It was obviously a very rocky start. They threw stats up on the board. Negative 17 yards on the first 2 drives for the offense was the worst of Rodgers' career. Negative 12 yards on the first 3 drives was the fewest yards in a quarter since 1994. So there were red flags. I'm a joker. I'm a sarcastic son of a bitch because I can say that stuff. I was caught. I mean, I was joking. Okay, it's time to get rid of Matt LaFleur. Oh God, the season's over. Just because it's easy to panic about these things very early on. This is a work in progress. Rodgers has said that. LaFleur has said that. And it didn't take long. You had that first or second drive in the second quarter, and they started throwing some bombs. We got some movement. It was the only really solid drive of the game, but it was the difference maker at the same time. Been a long time since we had a playmaker at outside linebacker, much less 2 of them. Agree 100%. I mean, let's not throw Matthews under the bus too much. Obviously, a very solid player. I know many of you probably have Matthews jerseys. I love Clay Matthews. He pretty much won us a Super Bowl. If you think back to that play in Super Bowl 40. Oh God, this is bad. Super Bowl 45. I got it. I came through it eventually. But yeah, Clay Matthews made that incredible play, fumbled the ball. You got to love that. But I agree. I mean, he was on the back end of his career. Nick Perry was not stepping up. It's great to see outside linebackers. And it'll be even more interesting when we get Oren Burks back at that inside linebacker position. Because, we didn't see a ton of Ty Summers in the game. We didn't see a ton of Rashawn Gary in the game. And at least you didn't hear his name a whole lot. So definitely, I mean, this defense has room to improve, which is almost a scary thought to consider. That pick by Amos played a big part in the win. Both safeties played good defense. Dropped interceptions by Savage would have sealed it earlier in the game. Now, I don't think that dropped interception was completely Savage's fault. I mean, he made a play on that ball. I mean, if that groundskeeper had cut the grass a little bit shorter, Savage would have came away with that interception. But man, Savage played football. He played great for his first game in the NFL. I think Savage did an absolute awesome job. I was rocking my number 26 Savage jersey throughout the night, and I was proud to wear this. I think that he stepped up a lot. I think our safety groups too, along with our outside linebackers, is a great improvement year over year. So kudos. I mean, how much kudos can we give to the defense? What else we got here? So your camera is overexposed by about 1.5 stops. How do I fix that? I don't know how to fix that. I don't even know what 1.5 stops means. You're gonna have to really email me and tell me how I can fix the 1.5 stops. I don't know how to do that. Even without a run game not going well, we can still run the ball and still did not give up completely on it. Something we haven't been doing the past year. So I will agree with you. I think it was important for the Packers not to give up on that run game, even though you knew that when they ran the ball, it wasn't probably going to be, a first down. I don't think we had a single rush 10 yards or longer, if I can even, just pull that out of the hat right now. But I think the most frustrating part when it comes to the run game, and we got a little bit of that sense of Mike McCarthy and the offense, is when you have the ball with 2 minutes left. On second down, you try to throw an out route to, I think it was MVS, or it could have been Allison. I know it wasn't Adams, but you throw that out route. It was an incomplete pass, stops the clock. It's third down at this point, and you decide to run the ball. I would have loved at that point on third down for the Packers to at least, I mean, the Bears are going to call timeout regardless. They're going to stop the clock. Yes, they might have one more timeout on the offensive side of the ball, but whatever. I would have loved to see them take a shot at that point. That is something that I really think needs to be honed in. It's that killer instinct that I'm still not seeing from the Packers offense that I think is the difference. Quite frankly, that's the difference between championship teams and, first round draft picks, is just taking those risks. I mean, you have to. You take those risks, get that first down. If they would have got the first down with a minute 40 left, it would essentially ended the game. But we had to put the defense back out there. And I don't want to count on the defense throughout the entire season. I want the Packers offense to step up in those situations. Nick Perry is hanging out with Justin Harrell, blaming everything but their own effort and health. Mostly effort. I could probably even add what the heck's his name? Josh Jones to that list too. I think they're all just hanging out, having beers, watching the Packer game on NBC, and reminiscing about their glory days at this point, because it's just disappointing. Does Crosby stay the kicker for the rest of the season, or is he gone before week 8? Well, if Crosby would have missed the one and only field goal that he kicked, without a doubt, Sam Ficken would be on our roster by next week. But Crosby, that wasn't even a sketchy field goal kick that he had. It wasn't wobbly. It was right down the uprights. I think Crosby does stick on the team throughout the full season. Like I said countless times before, the guy has ice in his veins. He's a veteran. He's experienced. He hasn't lost power in his leg. I mean, you look at his kickoffs. The majority of those kickoffs were going, touchbacks or through the end zone. You stick with Crosby as long as you possibly can. Why would he be gone? Let's see. The realist cheesehead. Why would he be gone? I don't know who you're talking about. Legacy rant. I don't know who you're talking about. Go ahead and comment down below. I might follow up on that question. Let's see here. 2 made kicks doesn't make up for long cases of yips. They'll show again. I don't know what that means. 2 made kicks doesn't make up for long cases of yips. You guys are confusing me at this point. Satisfying thing was that both Smith and Amos all had effects on the game. I agree. I mean, it just states the fact that Brian Gutekunst went out there. He made some key adjustments to that defense, and each one of them stepped up and had impacts on the game, whether it was on the pass rush, sacks, or the interception to end the game. That's absolutely awesome. Who are you going to replace Crosby with then? You make no sense, bro. Agree. The only person to replace Crosby would probably be Sam Ficken, and I don't really know if that's a thing. Love your show, dude. Wish you would cover all the teams. I don't have time for that. I have a hard enough time following just one team. Maybe if I get enough subscribers, maybe if I get, maybe if this thing one day gets rolling down the YouTube pathway of success, I might cover more teams. I mean, really, do you want someone to talk about Antonio Brown? Do you really want someone else to talk about Oakland Raiders and Antonio Brown? I'll tell you about Antonio Brown. Let's go off script a little bit right here. So I drafted Antonio Brown in my fantasy football league, which probably none of you care about. I didn't like drafting him, but I felt pressured. He was the best player available at that time. I needed a wide receiver, so why not? Now he's suspended. So is that really what you want me to talk about? You don't want me talking about other teams. You want to talk about the Packers. You want to talk about the Green Bay Packers, especially as we approach our Super Bowl run. That is the 2019-2020 season. And if you can't be motivationally hyped, then let's just move on to the next topic. Hit that like button, Packer fans. Yeah, do it. Hit that like button. Go on. I'll wait. I got 5 of them right now. I'll wait till 6. No, I won't. I won't do that to you guys. I'll keep talking. Crosby will stay with Green Bay as long as he's effective. Agree 100%. Good test tonight. We passed with a C+. Good thing is our standard has been set the best defenses in the league. Our standard has been set to the best defenses in the league. C+? That's average, right? So B-, I'll give you that. C+ is, just a step above average. I think the team performed very well. I think when the power rankings come out, I mean, let's look at all the expert picks. Let's look at various power rankings that are out there. Ignore the CBS Sports that placed the Packers at #1 in their power rankings, because that's an anomaly to what the rest of the NFL world believes. But the Packers surprised people tonight. There weren't a whole lot of people betting on the Packers outside of probably many of you and even myself, who got way too hyped up for the game and went 31-17, and it did not come to fruition. But a C+ is a very interesting grade. I would give them a B, maybe a B+. And the only reason why they don't hit that, A- or A tier, is because the offense needs to put up more points. Had the offense gone out there and scored, 20 to 27 points, it was 27-3. Yes, this is an A performance from that Packers team, but C+ seems a little bit rough. Maybe you're being cautiously optimistic, which is I can appreciate that. I mean, I struggle with that personally. I don't want to just rave up the Packers and say they're the greatest team in the world, but I'm going offense C, defense D+. That's a good follow up. I mean, I C is average. The offense was average. The defense B+. I give the defense an A-. I give the offense a C, defense a A-, and we find ourselves right there at a B. We're calling it a B. It's a B performance. That's what it is. That's what I'm calling it. We tell Bears fans that their offense sucks. It goes in one ear, double doinks, and goes out the other. So I had 3 dislikes on my last video, and they were all from Bears fans. I mean, I had one particular gentleman who liked to go on to say that, Mitch Trubisky has ice in his veins. He didn't quote, I won't quote him for saying that, but he thought Mitch Trubisky would have a much better performance, that he can perform under pressure. Obviously that didn't go to quite as planned. I saw Trubisky overthrow on a couple of passes, mini passes. This was something that we knew he was capable of, that he would struggle with. And then the Packers did get to him. It didn't help things whatsoever. He did have wide open targets, probably 2, 3, possibly 4 times throughout the game where he could have threw the ball, but instead he panicked, he rushed it. And this will be something that's interesting next week as we face the Vikings and Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins will not be as impacted by some of that pressure. I mean, you can get to him as much as you want, but he is more of a veteran. He has more experience in the league. That will be something very interesting. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky. So, I mean, we saw Trubisky struggle, I think, a lot, and he did not live up to some of the pressure or taking that pressure that a lot of Bears fans out there predicted. Would have been nice to see Kumerow get some action. That's interesting that you bring that up. So the topic of Kumerow crossed my mind as well. So there was a brief moment throughout, when was it? I believe it was the 4th quarter, when Davante Adams left the field. He only was out of play, but at that time they brought Trevor Davis into the game to, fill in for that void, if that's what you want to call it. And that might speak something. That might speak volumes. It could be potentially just the way that they had the game plan set up against the Bears, or it could say more about where Matt LaFleur and that offense see Trevor Davis on that roster. I think I can't say enough how happy I am for Trevor Davis. I think that the fact that he went from last year's training camp to, potentially getting cut, to being someone that can come out there and make an impact on the game says, I mean, like I said, I can't be more proud of the guy. He had that great catch. He was down on his knees. He got up right away. He ran for another 4, 5, 6 yards, whatever it was. So I think Kumerow will come around. I think we will see more of him. I mean, we don't have a ton of receivers on that offense. And quite frankly, I think we only saw 3 or 4 of our receivers actually in the game. I think I saw Lazard on a special teams play, and I didn't see Kumerow a whole lot. And then you look at, Geronimo didn't have that big of an impact, if any impact. I think he played a number of snaps, but he didn't have any catches from what I'm aware of. And then you look at, really, it's just Adams. MVS had that huge bomb, and then Trevor Davis had some catches. I think we haven't even got our entire, offensive wide receiving core to contribute yet. So holy moly, guacamole, casserole. Let's go on. Well, you tell Bears fans that their offense sucks. That goes in 1 year on double dunks. I think I already read that one. Let's go on. let's go on another note. If the offense is C, defense a B+. Awesome. Would have been nice to see Kumerow. I don't even know where I'm at anymore. Power rankings number 12, defense A-. Thoughts about Jimmy Graham? Well, I started Jimmy Graham in my fantasy football league, and boy, am I glad I did. I had 2 Packers that I had on my entire fantasy league. Jimmy Graham was one of them. The Packers defense was the other. I ended up with 25 points from just the first night. And we saw them take shots at Jimmy Graham quite a bit. Let's talk about the entire tight end position. Okay. Marcedes Lewis. I forgot he was even a member of our team. We did not hear about Marcedes Lewis at all throughout training camp. He was really flying underneath the radar, but he had 4 catches? He had a couple targets outside of that. He almost had that, change of direction catch on the sideline that Jared Cook would have easily made. But our tight ends group in general, Robert Tonyan had a catch in the game. This is interesting, right? I alluded to this before that we have 6 active wide receivers on our roster. We have 4. We should have had 4 active tight ends. Now we're down to 3 with Sternberger going to IR. But our tight end game is going to be something to definitely watch. I think those that were in support of Jimmy Graham, of keeping him around, are going to be able to go out there and say, hey, I told you it was a good idea to keep Jimmy Graham. And he had a great game. I mean, that 50-50 ball is essentially all that was in the end zone. He went up and caught that. He made that play. Without him making that play, who knows what would have transpired? It could have been a 3-3 game versus a 7-3 game. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy just to see the action from our tight ends more than we're used to. And then just the fact that Adams, I mean, yeah, he's a hell of a receiver, but he didn't even really stand out all that much too. He had some great catches. He didn't have anything, that jumped off the charts, but definitely more emphasis on that tight end group than we've seen in a long time. Let's see. Let's not forget Mitch had under 100 yards in the third. Let's not forget Mitch had under 100 yards in the third quarter. I did not know that. I mean, I think anytime you can keep a quarterback under 100 yards in any quarter I hope that's the case. But the defense gets an A. They won the game tonight. Agree. Question mark still out on Trevor. Good clutch catch for him, though. Happy for him. One of the fastest in the league. Agree. Super happy for Trevor Davis. Can't wait for Lazard. I don't really know what we're going to get from Lazard. He is, practice squad candidate. He made his way up to the 53-man roster. Who knows how much we will get a chance to see him throughout the season. But I think his future is bright. I'm glad that he's on the roster. The guy deserves a roster spot in the NFL. Savage, future star, 100%. Savage is a future star. They very early on, Chris Collinsworth, love him, hate him. I find him relatively annoying for the most part, but he knows his football. Compared him to an Ed Reed caliber type of safety. I think Savage definitely has a very high ceiling, and add him with Jair Alexander. I mean, we have a young, growing, potentially lethal defense. And remember, we have these guys, Zadarius, Preston Smith, and Amos for 4 years. We have Rodgers for 4 years. This is very, very young in the transition or what we're trying to do on that Packers team, and that gives us a lot of hope for the future. Lewis came in clutch. Going to be big in December. I hope Lewis is big in December. I hope games in December are relevant for after last year. December football just didn't matter, and I really hope that football games in December actually matter. A little disappointed about Rashawn Gary's contributions. Felt like I never even noticed him the whole game. I agree. It didn't seem like we heard Gary's name at all. I don't know if that was intentional. Or if that was just, a concern or a red flag that we get from him coming out of college. Obviously, he did not have that big, being the 5-star recruit that he was in high school and coming into the NFL. Obviously, that is a concern for many pundits of Rashawn Gary, but it's early, right? Maybe he wasn't part of the game plan. Maybe they're just trying to ease him into it. Gary obviously is a freak athlete. I think he will have an impact on this team at some point. But I think it's too early to, call him out and say, pull the panic alarm on Rashawn Gary. Lewis is low-key dangerous. Absolutely agree. Lee 86, I agree 100%. He is a guy that you don't really game plan for, and he goes out there and makes catches, and he's a hell of a blocker. So once we get that run game going, he's going to make a difference across the field. Happy for Jimmy. Yep, Jimmy crack corn. I don't care. Way to go, Jimmy. I know. Absolutely awesome. I hope he has an outstanding season. Do you think we will have a top 10 defense this season? Yes. And it's really hard to answer this question, especially after tonight's game, but I don't see this defense getting worse, assuming we can stay healthy. I've already talked about we don't even have Oren Burks on the field yet. It's only the first game, quite frankly. And yes, we played against a suspect Bears offense, but this was a 12-4 team. Whether or not you want to give most of the credit to Khalil Mack last season, on whether or not they were, that team because of him, they were still 12-4. I think the offense obviously didn't look great for the Bears last night, but how much of that contributes to the defense? I think a lot of it does. I think that we had players flying all over the place. Yes, you're going to give up passes. Yes, you're going to give up occasional rush yards, but I think that we do have a top 10 defense. I don't think we have a top 5 defense. So let's temper our expectations. I think we have a somewhere in that 5 to 10 range, and only the time will tell to see how good this defense will be. But holding their opponent to 3 points in week 1 does a lot to those rankings. What else we got here? I've been talking for what? How long have I been talking? I've been talking for 36 minutes. How many of you guys have been along here for ever since I went live? 36 minutes I've been rambling? Jesus. Crazy how time just flies by. I got to go to bed. Defense was great. Offense needs to get better, especially getting Adams involved. Yep, we need to get Adams involved 100%. That'll come with time. Adams will get involved. We just got to get the offense flowing, find that rhythm. The refs were all over this game. We have to limit those holding penalties. So we brought up the refs. Let's talk about the refs for a little bit. What are we, 37 minutes into this? Haven't talked about the refs yet. Some very interesting things with the refs last night or tonight or whatever time you're watching this. Maybe you're live right now with me. But pass interference. So clearly, I think they threw a statistic on the board that there were challenges, X amount of challenges for pass interference. There were 0 that were overturned. This is going to be very clear cut how these challenges for pass interference come into play. I think Matt LaFleur really needs to learn that it has to be blatantly obvious, like throw a defender to the ground, or in the case of Alexander involved in that offensive pass interference, the arms have to be extended. I like that. I mean, I think the biggest worry when we talked about the challenge play going to pass interference was that there would be a slowdown in the game. But I think if they can keep it just black and white as far as whether or not it's just obvious as all hell that it's pass interference, and then you talk about the refs. I think they missed one with Rodgers. I think there was a roughing of the passer. Maybe that's my biased opinion on that one, but I think Rodgers got thrown down late. I think it was third quarter, fourth quarter. We got thrown down late. It should have been roughing the passer, would have kept the drive alive. But hey, these guys are human, and I do not want to go to robots for referees, so we'll avoid that subject completely. Bulaga and King can stay healthy. Yeah. So a lot of discussion about King. You didn't see him in there a whole lot throughout the game. He had that drop interception, which just fucking sucked. But after he dropped that interception, we didn't see him in the game a whole lot. We saw a lot of Tony Brown. I mean, and I think Tony Brown stepped up a lot. I thought that he competed hard throughout the game. He did not get burnt. Yes, he gave up a couple passes, but he was contesting every single pass. So Tony Brown is a bright star in that depth of our cornerback group, which I have been concerned about. But I think a lot of the reason why Kevin King did not get more playing time was flat out that he hadn't practiced since family night, and they wanted to kind of just watch his play count. They wanted to ease him into the game. And I think it was obvious. I thought for sure that when he dropped that interception that he went down with an injury and that he was out, but we did see him in some glimpses throughout the rest of the game. So no worries there. Hopefully, let's see what else we got. We got to wrap up here. I mean, 40 minutes into this. This is insane. I got 23 of you guys watching this. Thank you, all 20 of you. 23 of the original live broadcast for Pour Another. I gotta send you guys like a members only pin. Or maybe you'll win this canvas. Who wants to win the canvas? I know some of you do. Underwhelmed and a little concerned about the offense, but it is week one, and it's a new system. The first time the starters played together, so we need to give them a little bit of time. Let's go D. Absolutely. I think nobody's going to be raving about that offense. And if there's anything that holds the Packers back from climbing up the power rankings, is it's now going to be all attention is going to be focused on that offense. I think the defense has solidified itself as being capable to be, a top 10 defense. And it'll just really boil down to the conversation of when will this offense get going? How long will it take? I'm looking forward to all that news that comes from the next week. Jones hopefully can get healthy and stay healthy. Agree 100%. Who won? The Packers won. The Packers won. The Packers won 10-3. If you were just tuning in and you missed the entire game, shame on you. Packers won 10-3. We're 1-0. We're going to the Super Bowl. Did you see Rodgers throw the ball at Matt Nagy? He had a huge grin on his face after that and him pushing Mike Pettin. I did not see Rodgers throw the ball at Matt Nagy, so I'm going to have to look that up. That sounds great. I would love to see him throw the football at the Bears head coach, but I did see him hit Mike Pettin after the game. And that goes back to what I was talking about very early in this video. There is a sense of team going on in Green Bay right now. It is everyone has each other's back. Rodgers has LaFleur's back. Rodgers has Pettin's back. The players have each other's back. This is exactly what we want to see out of an organization. It's the exact opposite of what's going on in Oakland right now, where you have star wide receivers threatening to punch GMs in the face. But yeah, I mean, I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun. All Rodgers has to do at this point is bring back the belt, and we'll be Super Bowl bound before we know it. Is it better to have an elite offense or an elite defense? Well, there's the $1 million question. Boy, I did not know I'd get thrown with that curveball in tonight's first live video. And I agree. I think the exposure is a little bit strong on this webcam. So is it better to have a number one offense or elite offense versus an elite defense? Obviously, the answer is it's better to have an elite defense. The old saying that has been passed down through generations is that defense win championships. We have had elite offenses in the past. We have had Aaron Rodgers offenses with Jordy Nelson's, Randall Cobb's, James Jones, Greg Jennings, Jared Cooks, you name it. I mean, they have not been able to overcome the hurdle as far as going to Super Bowls. Rodgers' last Super Bowl appearance was 2011, February 2011. Defense. It's obviously defense. If this defense can be – Drew, it's not offense. Back off. It's not offense. Elite offense does not make the difference whatsoever. Set down your White Claw and get off of the comment section because you are obviously just fucking foolish right now. So yeah, defense is the difference maker. If we have a top 10 defense, it makes all the difference for our season and for our playoff hopes. What else we got here? Let's see. Love the channel. Thanks, Braden. Was it Brendan? Brendan, the Emperor of Dultax. Nice. I like it. Offense. And then Brendan comments back again. Jenkins should be over Taylor. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. So thank you for bringing that up. That is in my notes here. Lane Taylor was getting destroyed very early on in the game. He did rebound. Maybe it was just trying to get the jitters out of him. But quite frankly, Lane Taylor had a lot of playing time in the preseason. He should not have been rusty whatsoever. And he was getting destroyed by that Bears defensive line very early on in the season. I would not be surprised if Elgton Jenkins does get that starting position nod as soon as week 3 or week 4, especially if he goes out there against the Vikings next week and completely implodes. We got to see more. We got to see more out of him, or his job is quite frankly on the line. We got some very fresh comments, and then we're running out of them, so that means I'm going to stop talking. The DBs were lights out tonight. Everything we contested and Trubisky had to make perfect throws for many of them. But hey, man, good coverage. I'm out. Go Packers. Have a good night, Lee 86. I agree. The defensive backs were stellar. I think I'm going to be out here pretty soon too. 45 minutes for a live broadcast is plenty long. I am going to be doing a complete review of the game. Probably post it Saturday morning. I'm going to sleep in tomorrow, play a little bit of Xbox. all that good stuff. But I appreciate all the support. I mean, I know there weren't a lot of you. There were, what, 25 maybe max at one point. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I will be doing more live feeds after the Packers games, and they will not probably always be this cheery as they are right now. But we have ourselves, we're a 1-0 team. We beat the Bears. There's a lot to take away. It's a lot of fun. We can wake up on Friday morning and feel good about that G that we so proudly wear. So, so thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the love and support. It truly does mean a lot to me. I will be back in the very near future. And as always, until I see you next time, go Pack, go. Thanks a lot for joining, guys. Talk to you later.